It's time for another edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined by the head coach, Brian Kelly. Coach, 28-3 over Virginia. Felt like another really complete game from your team. What impressed you most?
Well, I think just the mindset, the way we went into the game. It would have been easy for us to go down there and not play our very best. You know, we had a bunch of guys that were not feeling well, injuries. We had captains that were not playing because of an assortment of being sick or injured or whatever. And they just had the right mindset. And I just love our football team and the way that they go about handling things, and went into this with the right mindset and played well.
Riley Mills had a couple of sacks. He got the game ball and also a first-class seat. Coach Elston gave it to him. How impressed were you with him and really a lot of guys on defense just stepping up for you?
Well, with Myron not being able to play because of influenza, Riley was forced to go out and play defensive end for the first time. And Mike Elston had a little deal with him and said, listen, if you get these sacks, I'll give up my seat in first class. And so he came through with the sacks, and Mike came through with the commitment. And the next thing you know, he was sitting across from me in the first class section of flight home. So it was all well worth it, and a good trip to Charlottesville.
Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll break down the entire 28-3 victory over Virginia on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for the game breakdown. Coach, great game for you guys against Virginia. First drive, 11 plays, 54 yards, turnover on downs after the quarterback sneak, but I thought that really established an aggressive tone you had throughout the entire game.
Yeah, it was a great drive, and again, you want to finish those drives off, especially when you're on the road, because you want to start fast. And I thought, we did a lot of really good things there, and we didn't finish it out the right way. But again, it set a good tone for the way we were going to play the rest of the day.
First defensive series, you got a 3-and-out. The story, obviously, there was no Brennan Armstrong. So from a coaching standpoint, how'd that affect the game plan, and what'd you like on that first series?
Well, we were prepared for, whether they were going to go Wildcat or they're going to play Wolford, which they did, and they ran their offense through him. So we were prepared no matter what they were going to do, and I thought we did a really good job relative to the preparation.
So you get the ball back, and then you face a 4th and 1. You had the field goal unit out there. We talked last week about that chart that you use. You take the timeout and decide to go for it. What went through your guys' minds as to bring the field goal team off and go for it on 4th and 1?
It's early in the game. You have enough timeouts that you can use one there if you don't like the decision you made. And I just felt like at that situation where it was on 4th down, that it was really a go situation. And so I used the timeout, rethought it. We had a good play in mind, and we called our best running play. And Kyron Williams was one-on-one with the safety and ran through the tackle, and obviously we picked up the key first down.
On the next play, Michael Mayer gets into the end zone. He had a great game for you guys. Has seen a lot of targets, maybe not as much production the last few weeks. This week, that was not the case. He was in. What'd you see on that play?
Well, it was a one-on-one matchup, and Jack Cohn threw a great ball. It was really well covered, but we knew we would get a one-on-one matchup. Jack threw a great ball. Mike makes the great catch, and we're in the end zone.
Next defensive series, another 3-and-out, and a guy I want to hear you talk about is Bo Bauer. Led your team in tackles this game, stepping up with, again, those injuries you alluded to, but he's just been so solid, it seems like, throughout his career, and this week it really showed.
Yeah, Drew's out, and so Bo gets much more of an opportunity, and Bo's obviously been such an important part of our success here, and he gets now the opportunity to be out there every snap, and he took advantage of it. He was active, he was around the football, and he made a lot of plays for us, and it was great to see.
So the offense got the ball back, leading 7-0. I have to ask you now, 3rd down and 2, Logan Diggs, the freshman, with one of the more impressive athletic feats we've seen all season when he hurdled the defender. What went through your mind as you saw that on the sideline?
Wow. It was pretty impressive, and it looked effortless, which was even more impressive. He's a football player first and foremost. He's not a guy that's going to just, do things like that unless he feels like he can gain a competitive advantage. He's not a showboater or a highlighter, but he felt like he could put himself in a better position, and he did. And he was able to get up over the defender and pick up some more yardage. But a very, very impressive running back.
Next ensuing offensive possession, again, 9 plays, 80 yards. This is when you put it to a 3-score game, and it seems like weekly we talk about a great Kyron Williams run. This touchdown run, again, another spectacular performance from him.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, this play bounces outside, makes a couple of guys miss, and it's just all effort and want to and desire to get to the pylon, and Kyron does it again. And, you know, it just goes to who he is. You know, here's a guy he had a severe sinus infection during the week, headaches, you know, wasn't able to really function well on Thursday or Friday, but answers the call on Saturday. He's just a great teammate.
Up 3 scores now, 21-0. And again, the defense comes up with the big play, the Ramon Henderson interception. Talk me through that play. We might see it in Irish intel later, but just a really nice defensive play by a guy who saw the field because of those injuries.
Yeah, so we were showing a 2-deep look. So the quarterback was a little bit confused in terms of what he was seeing, because Ramon actually comes all the way across the field and doubles up on this play and becomes, you know, the guy that gets the deflection. And so the range is what really stands out here. And he's going all the way across the field to make this play. You know, obviously Ramon has that length and can make up obviously a lot of that ground. So it was a great interception.
Late in this game, it was 28-3. You're able to get even more freshmen, more reps for your guys. How valuable is a game like this when you can get some guys into that environment late in the game to develop them as they go along throughout their careers?
Yeah, it was great. We played 55 of the 60, you know, there was 68, 69 guys on the trip, so, you know, that were actually going to play. So, we got 80% of the guys, 85% of the guys in the game. So it's really important that these guys get a chance to play, and it was fun to see them out there.
Every true road game this year, you guys have played in prime time, and you've come away with a victory. I just want to know, as a coach, how satisfying has that been? This one, probably the heart rate wasn't as high,
yeah.
But how has it felt to just see your team perform week in and week out in these big primetime matchups?
The bright lights, that's one of the reasons why you come to Notre Dame, you know, to play in those kinds of those matchups. And so every time we've been in that kind of environment, our guys rise up to the occasion. And again, I think that's why, you know, when you come to Notre Dame, you get these opportunities to shine, and this group certainly has.
Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll take an even closer look at Notre Dame's 28-3 victory over Virginia in this week's edition of Icon. This is Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time to take a closer look at this week's game with this week's edition of Icon.
Let's trust our brother next to us, that we're going to do our job, and you can trust me that I will do mine, and I'll do it every single play. That's the kind of game we're looking for tonight.
Michael Mayer, as good as there is in college football at that tight end position.
On to the air, throws end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown by Mayer. And Notre Dame strikes first here in Charlottesville.
Let's go, baby!
Hell yeah,
Let's
Mike.
go, Mike! Make the stop, make the stride. 3 now, D-boys!
Pressure coming, Woolfolk steps up, and down he goes. Bo Bauer has been all over the field for Notre Dame. And Diggs breaks the tackle, stiff arms and get the first down inside the 40. Oh, goes over the top! Hurdles a Virginia defender. That's a 6'2" defender that he jumped over.
What the f*** is wrong with you? You are sick. You are sick.
Cone to throw on 3rd down and goal. Inside the 5-yard line and into the end zone. Braden Lindsey. Williams again being patient, finds the cutback, makes a sweet move at the 15-yard line. Inside the 10, inside the 5. He dives and he's in for the Notre Dame touchdown.
Kyron Williams putting on a show here in this first half.
2, 3.
Hell no! I want to be like Josh Adams. You know how he had his shit ripped off? That's how I want to be.
A shot here, down the field, double coverage, and it is intercepted. Picked off by Ramon Henderson.
Dominant performance in this first half by Notre Dame.
Our standard is the consistent application of our process. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It's how we do things. We dictate this in the second half. One play at a time, every single play.
4th down and 5. Woolfolk with time for a moment, and then he gets planted. And the Irish take over on downs.
Touchdown right here.
Cone going the other way, single coverage, and the pass was on the money to Kevin Austin.
Good boy, trying to play a grown man, baby.
Well, this pass rush has been ferocious.
Again, throwing it downfield, and oh, what a catch by Mayer. The ball was on the back of the linebacker. Mayer just took it right off of him.
That was nice. Let's go, man. That felt really good.
7 sacks for this Irish defense.
Taking it flying first class home.
Ball to the end zone, and it's intercepted.
This defense has come to perform tonight.
So Notre Dame improves to 9-1 with a convincing win in Charlottesville.
This is the kind of victory that you really have to feel great about the accomplishment of the guy standing next to you, sitting next to you, that you can trust him, that he's going to get his job done. Defensively now, that's 2 consecutive games without letting up a touchdown. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
To the offensive line, over 200 yards rushing. So, game ball, he gets Coach Elston's seat in first class. Riley Mel.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So Riley, great performance from you against Virginia, a couple of sacks. What enabled you to break through in this game for Notre Dame?
I think it was just my teammates helping me out. I couldn't have done it without, Myron was helping me on the sidelines. Even though he was sick, he was out there cheering me every step of the way. So I just want to give a big shout out to my teammates for helping me out the most because I couldn't have done anything without them.
Let's talk about post-game. You got the game ball. I just want to know, what does it feel like when you get the game ball and you get a chance to celebrate in the locker room with your teammates?
Yeah, when I got the game ball, it was surreal to hear, Coach say my name and have all my teammates cheer me on like that. It's something that, as I came to Notre Dame, that was a goal of mine to get a game ball, and, for it to come true and, really see it happen was, out of this world, and I couldn't believe it. So it was probably one of, the best experiences of my life, and I was super excited about it.
Let's talk about the plane now. I know you got the upgrade to first class. Coach Elston made good on his deal because you got a couple of sacks and the game ball. Talk me through how that all went down and how you held him to his word.
Yeah, so it was the week of the game, we were talking about the game, and we were kind of talking about some of the protection with the O-line, and we're like, we really think we can, capitalize on this O-line. So our coach was like, all right, look, if anyone gets over 2 sacks, you get my seat on the plane ride home. So everyone in the D-line room looked around, we're like, oh, are you serious? I got my first one, I was like, oh, that was sick. That was a really cool moment. And I got my second one, and I looked around and I was like, did that just happen? I got 2 sacks. And we came to the sideline, some people were like, oh, we don't know if the first one was a true sack. Because my coach, for a second, he was like, well, we don't know. We don't know the
Maybe
box
it's a half
score.
sack.
Yeah, maybe it's a half. So when I got that third one, I just turned around and looked right at my coach. You could see me pointing right at him. And I was like, that's your seat right there.
Let's go back a couple years when you were making your decision to come to Notre Dame. You just told me that a big thing you were looking forward to was doing what you did last week, getting the game ball. But just as a whole, what brought you to this place? What attracted you to play football and go to school at Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the people here. When I did it, my other visits to other schools, everyone here was super nice. They were all good people and they all wanted to help each other. And I think now, especially in today's world, that's something that's really valuable. And so I think, my time here, I think that's something that's been the biggest reason why I love Notre Dame, because everyone here is rooting on, and there's definitely a lot of places where, someone gets sick or someone goes down, it's not that, same animosity you have on the team. That's, everyone helping each other out. So I think that's just at the end of the day, that's what Notre Dame is, and it's you got your teammates there all helping you out, and you got the whole school around you helping you out. So that was just one of the biggest parts for me, and it's still stuck out to this day.
Defense has really come along strong here recently. You haven't allowed a touchdown in the last 2 games. I'm just curious, from your standpoint, with 2 regular season games left, what's the key for you guys to keep this momentum going into the end of the regular season?
Yeah, I think, to keep it going the next 2 games, it's all about we got to keep applying pressure. I think the last 2 games we did a great job of, playing to our best ability and playing to what we know we can play to. And I think we just keep that rolling and we just don't take our foot off the gas, and there's no reason why we can't continue to be great on defense.
Riley, appreciate the time. Thanks.
Awesome, appreciate it.
When we come back, we'll go inside the play with Irish Intel, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for Irish Intel, where we break down the play with head coach Brian Kelly. Coach, let's look at the second touchdown of the game. Braden Lenzy gets in. Really interesting play design you guys had here.
Yeah, so, we're trying to move the pocket here a little bit, and we want to get the ball to Braden Lenzy. So we've motioned him into this slot position back into the short field, but we're going to bring him underneath because it's man coverage, and we want to try to bring a lot of traffic and try to free him out. So you can see if you started, we bring him back underneath. You can see they got to try to trail him. 14's got him, and it's got to come all the way across, and by the time he gets there, it's just too late. So anytime you have, man-to-man coverage down here, you're trying to bring players in different positions and force them into a traffic jam. And you can see in this instance right here, Braden gets the football and there's just so much traffic there, it makes it difficult for them to get back to the offensive player here, and the defender doesn't have a chance to get to him.
Okay, Coach, this is the 4th touchdown of the game. Jack Cohn hits one of his favorite targets, Kevin Austin, for the touchdown.
Yeah, so we're motioning Mike Mayer right here. He is the slot. You see him motioning, and we're trying to see if it's man or zone. We see that it's man, and we're expecting one-on-one, but they both double out Mike Mayer. So immediately, Jack's got to go one-on-one to Kevin, because in this instance, he can't go into double coverage. So he turns down Mike Mayer, and you can see when he gets the football here, he looks real quick and goes immediately to the one-on-one situation. And you can see Kevin does a great job beating his defender.
So just to be clear, the thought process here for Jack is the second he sees man, he knows that if there's no safety over the top, he's got Kevin one-on-one.
He's going Kevin one-on-one, because you can see right here, they actually blow the coverage. George is the inside. Nobody covers George. And George is like, what about me? Sorry, George, you weren't part of the read. We're just going to have to add George Takis to the read now, because they're so concerned about, Mike Mayer and doubling him up in this situation. We'll have to add George to the read.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this week's episode of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's time now to wrap up this week's edition and the entire season of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Coach, this year, I've really enjoyed watching this team, specifically the way they've developed. You're 9-1 at this point. I'm just curious, from your vantage point, what have you liked the most? What's impressed you, and what have you enjoyed about coaching this team?
Well, I think first and foremost is that when you lay a plan out for them, they follow it to the letter. But you got to lay the plan out for them, because it's a young team. And that's a great thing as a coach, when you know that a young team is going to follow your plan. And the byproduct of that is you get a chance to watch them grow. And I think we all have done that together. We've watched this team get better and better from week to week. And that's fun, to watch a team have some ups and some downs. But at the end of the day, be a better football team in November than they were in September. And that's the growth. That's what we can expect to see moving forward, because next year, you're going to have all these guys back next year, and this should be really fun as they continue to grow.
I'm not going to ask you to tell me where you think you should be playing at the end of the regular season. I have my opinion, but no one cares about that. For you, the key in the final 2 regular season games, and then whatever the postseason game is, what's going to be the key for you guys? What will your message be here in the final month?
Stay focused on, what's important right now. And let's not worry about next week or 2 weeks down the road. What's important right now for our team is to stay focused on the process that they've been involved in. And that has really been about their attention to detail. Their detail has been really good, taking care of their job and doing the little things that make them better. When they do that, they're a pretty good football team. So if they stay in the moment, stay focused on that, we're going to be just fine.
Coach, appreciate the time this week and the entire season.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
That does it for this season of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.